Hi, my name is Chris Kelly, and I'm with Augment Code. We make the best coding assistant you've probably never heard of. But today, I really want to talk to you about how to write software using AI that you can actually ship to production. Most of you have seen a headline like this, and one of two feelings are come about. Either one, we're all going to be out of a job in a few months, or two, that you're missing something, that maybe you're holding it wrong and not getting the results out of your coding assistance that these headlines might suggest. Before we dive deep into how to get good AI or good code out of the AI you're using, I want to dig into a few things. First, all of these headlines come from organizations that have very large code bases. Now, if you've ever worked at a megacorp, you know that there's not that many choices left to be made in the code that you're writing. There's a ton of things that are already built and already established when you're writing code in a large code base. And so it's not that difficult to get a good amount of code generated from a large code base. Two, AI code is still just code. It's still code that we need to run. Someone still needs to be there to debug it, to think about it, to plan for it, to architect the next system and its evolution. And so, the idea that we're not going to have jobs in the next few months, I think is absolutely crazy because code is still code and its code still runs. And then the third bit is this is not the first time we've ever seen this kind of hype cycle. When cloud came about, we saw a ton of people changing jobs from system administrators, racking Linux boxes, all the way turning into distributed systems engineers. They didn't stop working; they just changed their job and the definition of what that looks like. And so this is no different. The tractor didn't replace farmers, it replaced horses. And that's a different problem. And so if you're feeling like all of this hype and all of the baggage here that we've got is kind of overwhelming, I want you to think a little bit about what it means to be a software engineer. Before we dive into that, I also want to say that we're not talking about vibe coding. So the typical definition of vibe coding is writing software and not paying attention to the code at all. Now, this can be great for doing prototypes and things like that, but in the end, we're not talking about vibe coding. We're talking about code you can actually ship to production. And so how do you use AI to ship code to production? First, let's think about one, code isn't actually the job. That's not the thing that really matters when it comes to shipping software. Code is just the artifact of the work, in the same way that blueprints are the artifact of an architect. And the architect spends hours and weeks and months knowing exactly what to build, why to build it, who to build it for, how to lay out all of the schematics, and then they produce blueprints. But in the end, the blueprint itself isn't the work. And so hopefully you get out of your head that generating code is not the work of software engineering. It's just a piece of the puzzle. But real software engineering is much more than writing code. And there's a weird phenomenon with code is that, Jeff Atwood of Stack Overflow fame says that the best code is no code at all, because every bit of code is a liability. We bring in code to the world. We have to debug it. We have to remember it. We have to understand it. And that's costly. And so when we're talking about how much code is AI generating, that's sort of the wrong problem, because actually I want as little code as possible. And what I really want is all of the right code. Because all code has trade-offs in it. We've got 1,000 different choices of the frameworks we can use, the languages we can use, the architectures we can use, the infrastructure we can use. All of those things come with different trade-offs, and no two pieces of software are the same. At some relatively small threshold, your software becomes a very special snowflake. And you've made a bunch of choices about how your system will work, and that can only work for yours. And so we need to think about code in a sense of trade-offs and not necessarily about just generating code. And the thing is about LLMs and AI in general is they can't make those trade-offs. Think about all the different choices that go into making a service that is either a monolith, a microservice, or is an event-driven system. You've got what language to choose, what framework to use, what the communication protocols are, what the APIs look like. All of those things are choices you make because you understand the whole system. An LLM is actually just generating text. And let's not forget that. It's not actually reasoning about the software. It's repeating patterns it's seen in the past. So as a software engineer, the thing you're doing is building a system, not generating code. And so we can start to like divorce ourselves from the idea of like, I can't let AI write my code. When we think about the actual work of software engineering is architecting and designing a system and understanding that system. I think the thing about being a software engineer is fixing an airplane while in flight, right? For almost all code, I have to fix something that's actually already running in production somewhere. And we've been doing this for a long time. And I have to do that safely. And that's the most important part of being a software engineer. We built all sorts of systems in order for us to be able to change software safely. One, we have version control. We have Git that allows us to, check in our changes and do those. We have testing systems so that if I make a change, I don't break something downstream that I'm unaware of. We have type systems that allow me to make sure that the code I'm writing is functionally correct and technically correct. We have deployment strategies, canary deploys, red-green deploys. All of these things allow us to write software safely. And that's the job of a software engineer, is really to make changes safely. Can AI play a part in that? I think so. At Augment, we pride ourselves on the context engine. We index your code and we understand your code base in a way that nobody else does. And what that means is we have knowledge about all the moving pieces of your code that me as a software engineer, I might need to spend 4-6 hours to be able to make an hour-long change, right? When I have AI to be able to be that sort of extended brain of mine to know all the different sort of edges of my code base, then I can actually make my changes better. And so it's great to have AI as part of doing software. And like it or not, AI is going to be writing code now. The really interesting thing I've seen in the industry is software engineers that I'd consider my peers, experienced senior level software engineers, have not been adopting AI in the same way that I've seen them adopt every other piece of technology. When cloud came around, everyone wanted to move to the cloud. That's all we did. When Rust came out, everyone wanted to rewrite everything in Rust. But when it comes to AI adoption in software engineering is so much different than I would have ever expected. And so it's important to think about where you are in your journey. A few years ago, we had Copilot came out, was really our first foray into this space. And we had sort of autocomplete systems, and that was great. That, kind of gave us IntelliSense, but sort of souped up. Then we ended up in a world where we're getting chat. Chat came around, and we can talk about code. We can discuss it. It could even generate code for us, and then we copy and paste it out of those chat windows. And then about 8 months ago, we came around to agents, where agents were able to write their code all on their own and be able to start to build software holistically where I'm not writing individual lines of code. Now, I build Augie CLI, which is our CLI agent. And the proudest day I had was when I was able to build Augie to a point to be able to let Augie build Augie itself. And so I want to talk to you about how to use AI agents and how to help write code that way, because that is the future of AI and software engineering is agents. And so we're going to talk about it in that frame. If you're earlier in your journey, hopefully I'll give you some tips to be able to get you up to speed on how to start using AI and get the quality that you want. And if you've been using AI agents, but you have that sense of this just writes code like a junior engineer, I think I have some insights on why that is. So let's talk about it. You might be I have no idea what I'm doing dog. This is my favorite meme on the internet. I use it all the time because I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing all of the time. There's a bunch of tips that are really important on how to start to use AI agents. I'm going to dive into a few of these in specifics, but these are sort of my 10 sort of overview of what AI agents are and what you need to keep in mind when it works. So first, we need to figure out how to build software that's easy for AI to write. Couple things that are really, really important. One, have documented standards and practices. This means that your code base most likely is in some level of transition, right? You've got 30% of that code's written 10 years ago, 5 years ago with a database that you don't really want to use anymore, with patterns you don't want to use anymore, and there's 30% of it's also the new hotness. This is where everything is going. So you need to be able to document that kind of thing and make sure that you know where you want your code to be going. Second point is you need to have simple, reproducible environments. This means that you can spin up a development environment, a production environment relatively easily, hopefully programmatically, so that you're not fiddling with things on your own, that you're able to get that environment up and running. Third is having automatic testing infrastructure. If you're able to run your tests locally, or at least a subset of your tests locally, your unit tests, things like that, that can really go a long way for helping AI write software for you. You also want to have clear boundaries. You want to know, where modules end and begin. We talk about this a ton in software engineering, and the way that we should build good software is having good boundaries. And so that way the AI knows what it should be working on and where it should start and stop. And lastly, you need to have clearly defined tasks. You need to know what you're building and what it's supposed to do. Now, if you're anything like me, you might be wondering, isn't this just good software engineering? And that's 100% right. If you got the sense of like, wait a second, we should be doing this already, and hopefully some of you already have all of these things established in your code bases and your engineering orgs, that you should just do good engineering and AI can write good code. And I think this is the first thing that people need to understand about AI agents. AI agents aren't magic instruments that can just write perfect code from day one. I've never one-shotted a piece of code in my life. I don't think AI should be able to do that either. And so the key is to have good engineering practices and let AI write code like you do, and it will be able to write code like you do. I think that's really important. Another tip is that you need to actually know what your code should look like when it's done before you start. And this is really a big point of the difference between vibe coding and not vibe coding. In vibe coding, you mostly don't care what the code looks like. You might not even look at it in most cases. But good software engineering, if I start writing code and I don't know what I want that code to look like before I started writing it, even before AI, chances are I was going to end up with code I was either difficult to maintain, difficult to understand, sort of had weird abstractions. And I think it's really important that you need to know what your code should look like so that you know how to judge what the AI outputs. And so before you start writing code with AI, know what you want your code to do. Another important fact is that AI talks like a human, but it's not. LLMs are just text generation machines. My favorite story on this is I was yelling at AI one day and slamming on my keyboard, like, stop doing this, stop doing this. And it said, I'm sorry, I just scanned that document. Let me read it thoroughly. Now, take a second and think about that. Computers don't know the difference between scanning and reading thoroughly. It either can process the text or it can't. And so even though it's got this anthropomorphic language that it uses, it's not actually doing those things exactly like it says. And I think that's really important for you to take a beat and always make sure you know what the AI is telling you it did versus what it actually did. Because all it's doing is text generation, it apologized because on the internet, on all the text it's been trained on, every time it read 10,000 emails that someone got yelled at, that was the response from that email chain. And so it's just generated a version of that when it comes to why you didn't, read this document versus scanning this document. So don't forget that LLMs are not human. They are just text generation machines, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's what we've achieved with LLMs is amazing. But don't confuse what it says it's doing with what it's actually doing. Next core thing is that context is everything. If you put in ambiguous information, an ambiguous prompt, a one-line piece of information, good chances are you're going to get pretty ambiguous things out the other end. So at Augment, we actually try to help you with this quite a bit because we do know that the context is really everything. If you can get good content into your LLM, you will get good content out of your LLM. And so what we do is, we have things like our prompt enhancer, which allows you to put in a single sentence change, click a button and get a much more robust prompt out of that. But also our context engine sort of front loads all of the right information about your code base into your prompt so that you don't have to go and file mention a bunch of things. You don't have to remember where all this code is or what it's going to do or which libraries you should be using. We try to do that for you. But if you're not using Augment Code, which is okay, you need to make sure that you're getting all of the right context into every prompt that you're sending so that it knows what you want to do, where you want to put it, and how it should all be tied together. You also want to give agents a frame. That means you want to give them a way to work. I recommend using an agents.md file. You can go to agents.md on the internet and understand what those are. But really, they are sort of documentation about your code base and how you want it to work. Is something that you can't see directly in the code base. So maybe you're using a new library instead of an old library that's already there. That's where you would put that sort of information. Make sure that you've built a house for them to work in, and then they can do all of the finishing work after that, right? They can put on the roof and they can put in the bathroom and put in the fixtures. But it's important that you've given them a frame to work in. Otherwise, they're just going to build software. It most likely will be functional software and it will actually do what you want it to do, but probably not in the way that you would have done it if you'd written it all yourself. If you give it the right frame, that can really help generate code and final products that you actually use. And so keep that in mind. If you don't know where to start with an agent's MD file, just ask the agent to write its own. It can do a pretty good job of understanding your code base to generate an agents.md file. You make some edits to that, save it locally, and you've got yourself a great head start. I think you should really start new agents pretty frequently. A lot of people sort of make the mistake that, you want all of this context, you want to spend all that time building it all up again. So you keep using the same thread. And that same thread can get pretty overwhelmed. After a certain number of tokens, threads become kind of useless. The LLMs don't know how to make sense of things. So the way I work is I frequently start new agents and throw agents away if they've gone off the rails, if they've gone in a direction I wasn't interested in. Rather than trying to correct them in big swings, I think it's just easier to start a new agent. With things like the context engine, I don't spend nearly as much time building up context, and I can just do the work I want. And I do it in small incremental amounts. I don't say, go build me Google again. I give it, I need this box, I need this function, I need this method or this module. And I can, giving it the right size of problem, the agents themselves can work very efficiently. And if you can create agents on a regular basis, then you always have this fresh context window where the agent can do really high quality work. The last bit is code review is probably the most important skill we have. We probably should have been the number one skill you should have been doing. I spend most of my time in the CLI agent and with the VS Code source control view open. And that's really where I do almost all of my coding. I rarely do line edits anymore. I rarely do autocomplete anymore. But I spend all of my time doing code review because I'm looking at small chunks of work. I'm staging that work as I feel it's ready, and then go and have the agent do another round of work, review that, stage it, step and repeat. And I can build up a piece of software that I actually am proud of, that works the way I would want it to work, and is written in the way that I would want it to do. But that's because I'm able to review that code on a regular basis. If you send an agent to go do work for 4 hours and come back, chances are it's going to be very difficult for you to review that code in an efficient way. And if anyone wants a startup idea, please give us brand new code review systems. Right now we spend most of our time doing lexicographical lists of files, and so file A looks good, file B looks good. That's not a great way to review code. So I'm really excited about how code review is going to change over the next coming years and what's going to be possible there. With all of that in mind, I'm really excited about what's possible with AI coming to the future. And I want you to dive into trying to use AI. If you can give AI the tools that you use to write code, you're going to have a much better time generating code that really works for you. So give agents a try, give it all the tools that you have, and instead of that junior engineer that's working, you're going to end up with code that you can use in production.